Hello everyone, this is topic 3.1 Intermolecular Forces. This is taken from AP Chemistry College Board. In this video, I'll be talking about what is the meaning of intermolecular forces and what are the types of intermolecular forces. And in the end of the video, you will see some questions related to the topic also. Before going into the details of the intermolecular forces, let me just give you a recap of the polarity. So polarity refers to the distribution of electrons around the atoms in a molecule. On the basis of polarity, molecules can be classified as polar molecules and non-polar molecules. In polar molecules, the atoms do not share electrons equally in a covalent bond. For example, in HCl, hydrogen is electropositive and chlorine is electronegative atom. That is why the electrons are attracted more towards the chlorine atom, and this is the reason that HCl molecule is a polar molecule. On the other hand, if I talk about the non-polar molecule, the example is nitrogen, in which both the nitrogen atoms have the same electronegativity. It means that there is no electronegativity difference between both the nitrogen atoms, and that is why the electrons are equally shared by both of the nitrogen atoms. Some more examples of polar molecules are water, ammonia, and other examples of non-polar molecules are carbon dioxide and CCl4. After understanding the term polarity, let me just explain the term polarizability. So polarizability is the measure of how easy or difficult it is for another electrostatic charge, you can say it can be ion or polar molecule, to distort a molecule's electron cloud. For example, we know that the hydrogen molecule is a non-polar molecule, that is, it has symmetric electron distribution. But when it comes in contact with another hydrogen molecule, we can see that this hydrogen molecule has a dipole. It means it has a delta positive charge, which is partial positive charge, and a partial negative charge. When this hydrogen molecule comes in contact with this hydrogen molecule, you can see that this hydrogen molecule also gets a delta negative and a delta positive charge. So polarizability means that how easy or how difficult it is for one non-polar molecule to get its electron cloud distorted. It can be easily distorted, then it means that it is easily polarizable. And if it doesn't get distorted easily, then it means that it is not easily polarizable. Now let's see more about this polarizability while talking about the types of intermolecular forces. Now let me start about the intermolecular forces. There are certain forces that condense matter. It can be intermolecular forces and intramolecular forces. So intramolecular forces are the chemical forces that operate by the formation of the bonds between the atoms to form the molecules. For example, in here we are talking about water molecule. So the forces which is present between these two atoms, it is called as the intramolecular forces. So it can be ionic bond or it can be covalent bond for different molecules. On the other hand, intermolecular forces are the forces that exist between the molecules. For example, in here, the forces which is present between the two water molecules is called the intermolecular forces. Now let's see the types of intermolecular forces. Intermolecular forces is basically of two types. First is van der Waals forces and another is hydrogen bonding. The van der Waals forces can be further divided into four types. First is London dispersion forces. Second is dipole-induced dipole interactions. Third is dipole-dipole interactions. And the fourth is ion dipole forces. Now let's see more about these types in details. So the intermolecular forces is divided into two types. First is van der Waals forces and another is hydrogen bonding. Now let's see what is van der Waals forces. So these van der Waals forces are the forces which act between the neighborhood bonded molecules due to the shift in electron density. For example, if we are talking about HCl molecule, we know that the chlorine is more electronegative than hydrogen. That is why this chlorine has a delta negative charge and hydrogen has a delta positive charge. So when one HCl molecule comes in contact with another HCl molecule, this delta negative charge of chlorine will interact with the delta positive charge of hydrogen of another molecule. So this interaction is called as the van der Waals forces. So van der Waals forces is basically the forces between the negative charge of one molecule and the positive charge of another molecule. So these forces are weaker than intramolecular forces, and these are present in only covalent molecules and they are not present in the ionic molecules. Further, the van der Waals forces was divided into four types. The first one was London dispersion forces. These London dispersion forces, these arise due to the Coulombic interactions between temporary and fluctuating dipoles. So Coulombic interaction means the interaction between the positive and negative charge, and these occur between the temporary fluctuating dipoles. It means that these forces are not present in the polar molecules, because polar molecules have a permanent dipole, but here we are talking about temporary fluctuating dipoles. These are present in non-polar molecules like hydrogen molecule, N2 molecule, O2 molecule, and also in monoatomic molecules, for example helium, neon, etc. Here I have explained these London dispersion forces by taking the example of helium atom. We know that the helium atom has two electrons. Those two electrons are revolving around the nucleus. Initially there is no polarization, so these both atoms are basically neutral, but there will be one instant when both the electrons revolving around the nucleus will come on one side of the atom, and due to that a delta negative charge will be introduced in this part of helium atom, and a delta positive charge would be present on another part of helium atom. This is called instantaneous dipole on atom B. Now further, what will happen is when there is a delta negative charge on this part of helium atom, due to this there will be a polarization of atom A. It means that this delta negative charge will induce delta positive charge on this part of atom A, and a delta negative charge will be induced in this part of atom A. There will be an electrostatic attraction between these electrons and the nucleus of atom A. Electrostatic attraction is basically the London dispersion forces. Now let's see that how the London dispersion forces strength affect the state of the molecules. Iodine is a solid, which means that it has stronger attractive forces. Bromine is a liquid, it means that it has intermediate forces, and fluorine and chlorine are gases, it means that it has weaker attractive forces. Now why is it so? It is because of the sizes of the atoms. We can see that the iodine has the biggest size. Its valence electrons are less tightly held, and it can be easily distorted due to the presence of another dipole, which means that it is easily polarizable. If the atom is easily polarizable, the London dispersion forces are actually stronger in that case. While if I'm talking about the fluorine atom is smaller in size, and the valence electrons are tightly held to the nucleus, due to which they cannot be easily distorted due to the presence of another dipole, and they cannot be easily polarizable. The London dispersion forces for the fluorine atom would be weakest, which makes fluorine as a gas and iodine as a solid. Another aspect of London dispersion forces is the boiling point. Here I have taken the example of hydrocarbons. We can see that as the molecular mass of the hydrocarbon is increasing, the boiling points are also increasing. When the molecule has more molecular mass, it means that it has more number of electrons. When there are more number of electrons, the outer electrons are easily displaced because the inner electrons are shielding the outer electrons, and that is why they can be easily polarizable, due to which the London dispersion forces between the two molecules would be higher. On the other case, for methane, the number of electrons is less, and that is why there is less shielding from the nucleus, due to which the molecule is less polarizable and less London dispersion forces can be seen in case of methane. Another thing here, we can see that as the surface area is increasing, the boiling point is also increasing. So here I have taken the example of pentane. The two isomers of pentane are shown here. One is normal pentane and another is neopentane. We can see here that in the case of neopentane, there is less contact between the two molecules. But in case of normal pentane, there is more contact between the two molecules. As there is more contact between these two molecules, so there will be more interaction between these two molecules, and that is why the boiling point would be higher. But in case of dimethyl propane, or you can say neopentane, there is more branching, due to which the structure of the molecule is compact and there is less contact between the two molecules, which results in the less boiling point. The second type of van der Waals force is dipole-induced dipole forces. So we know that what is the meaning of dipole, and we also know by now that what is the meaning of induced dipole. So here dipole dash induced dipole means one molecule already has a dipole, and in one molecule there will be induced dipole. So if one molecule already has dipole, it is a polar molecule, and in another molecule there is induced dipole, so it is a non-polar molecule. So these forces are present between a polar and a non-polar molecule. Polar molecule has a permanent dipole and non-polar molecule has symmetrical electron density. So what happens is when a molecule which has a permanent dipole, which is it has a delta positive and a delta negative charge, when it comes in contact with a non-polar molecule, it induces a dipole in that molecule. So due to the presence of this delta negative charge, a delta positive charge will be induced on this side of the molecule, and due to this a delta negative charge will be induced on the other part of the molecule. So that is why these forces are called as the dipole induced dipole forces. The polar molecule, it actually deforms the electron cloud of the non-polar molecule. The example is a mixture of water and oxygen, where water molecule has a permanent dipole and oxygen molecule is a non-polar molecule. So the dipole of water molecule will actually induce the dipole on the oxygen molecule. As you can see here that this is an isolated oxygen molecule. So this is a non-polar molecule, but when it comes in contact with a water molecule which has a permanent dipole, this delta negative charge deforms the electron cloud of these oxygen molecule and induces a dipole. So that is why a delta positive charge is induced here and a delta negative charge will be induced on the other end of the molecule. So these interactions depend on the dipole moment of polar molecule, because as the dipole moment of polar molecule would be more, so it can easily polarize the non-polar molecule. And another factor on which these interactions depend is the polarizability of non-polar molecule. If the non-polar molecule can be easily polarized, then the interactions would be stronger. The third type of forces are dipole-dipole forces. These forces are between the two molecules in which both the molecules have a dipole. So these work for polar molecules which have permanent dipole. The partial positive end of one molecule is attracted towards the partial negative end of the other molecule, as I told for the HCl molecule. So chlorine is an electronegative atom, so it has delta negative charge. When it comes in contact with another HCl molecule, this delta negative charge will interact with the delta positive charge of hydrogen of another molecule. It depends on the relative orientation of the molecules. The orientation of both the molecules should be such that the delta negative charge should be close to the delta positive charge of another molecule. And these are stronger than London dispersion forces because these are present in the molecules which already have a dipole, whereas in London dispersion forces, those are present in non-polar molecules where the dipole has to be introduced. The interaction strength depends on the magnitude of the dipole moment. As you can see here, different compounds and their boiling points are compared. The molecule which has no dipole moment, it has a boiling point of 240 Kelvin, whereas acetonitrile, which has higher dipole moment, has a boiling point of 355 Kelvin. So these dipole-dipole forces basically increases when the dipole moment of the molecule is more. The last type of forces is ion dipole forces. These forces are present in an ion and a molecule which has a permanent dipole. So here we can see that there is an ion which is an ion that is negatively charged, and when it comes in contact with the polar molecule, it will interact with the delta positive charge, or you can say the partial positive charge of the molecule. So this is an attractive force that results from the electrostatic attraction between the ion and a polar molecule, and these are most commonly found in the solutions. These forces are mainly responsible for the dissolution of ionic substances in water. For example, if I'm talking about the dissolution of NaCl in water, the NaCl exists as sodium ion and a chloride ion. So when it is dissolved in water, ions, they interact with the water molecule, which is a polar molecule. These forces are stronger than dipole-dipole forces. These are stronger as the charge on the ion increases or as the magnitude of the dipole of the polar molecule increases. So if the charge of the ion is increasing, these forces increase, and if the dipole moment of the polar molecule is increasing, then also these ion dipole forces increases. NaCl dissolved in water, we can see here that in water molecule, the hydrogen has partial positive charge and oxygen has partial negative charge. So when it comes in contact with sodium ion, the sodium ion will interact with the delta negative charge of the water molecule and it will be surrounded by the water molecules like this. Whereas the chloride ion would interact with the delta positive charge of the water molecule, as you can see here, and these interactions basically leads to the dissolution of NaCl in the water. Intermolecular forces was basically divided into two types. One was van der Waals forces and another was hydrogen bonding. So let's see the hydrogen bonding. So hydrogen bonding is associated with polar molecules. As you can see here, the water molecule is interacting with another water molecule, such as the oxygen has a hydrogen bond with the hydrogen atom of another water molecule. So these occur when the hydrogen atom is covalently bonded to highly electronegative atom. For example, if it is bonded to nitrogen or oxygen or fluorine. Examples in which the hydrogen bonding can be found is water, or you can say ammonia and HF. In all these examples, you can see that the hydrogen is covalently bonded to an electronegative atom. Here it is oxygen, here it is nitrogen, and in HF it is fluorine atom. The intermolecular forces are weaker than intramolecular forces because in intramolecular forces there is a interaction between the two atoms of the same molecule, whereas in intermolecular forces these are the forces between the molecules. And further, we can see here that the London dispersion forces are the weakest, then there is dipole-dipole forces, and the strength of hydrogen bonding as well as the ion dipole forces is almost the same. Now let's see this question. Which of the following correctly lists the substances HCN, N2 and HF in order of increasing intermolecular forces? So first of all, we need to see that which of these molecules is polar or non-polar. So out of these three molecules, nitrogen is the non-polar molecule, and next thing, HF molecule will have hydrogen bonding. So hydrogen bonding means it is strong forces, and N2 is non-polar molecule. It means that it will be having London dispersion forces. So that would be the weakest forces. So out of these four options, the option B seems to be correct. Now let's see this question in which of the cations listed above is likely to have the strongest attraction to an adjacent water molecule in an aqueous solution? The options are sodium ion, magnesium ion, aluminium ion, and scandium ion. So for all these ions, the ionic radius is also given. So we need to find that which of these ions will have the strongest attraction with the water molecule when they are dissolved in the solution. So ion dipole interactions basically depend on the charge of the ion. So more is the charge, stronger would be the interactions. We can see that the charge is highest for the aluminium ion and scandium ion because both these ion has a 3 positive charge, while magnesium has 2 positive and sodium has 1 positive charge. Further, we need to see the ionic radius of these two ions. We can see that the aluminium ion is smaller than the scandium ion. So when the size of the ion is smaller, it means that it can easily interact with the surrounding water molecules. So this makes the aluminium ion as the correct option. Please like and subscribe to the channel Log Iota and press the bell icon